Yeah, it looks like the internet speed here may be a little slower, so if you find there's a lag, hopefully we'll be able to work with that. Yes, yeah, I'm very happy that we get to continue the sutta. We're going to continue with the elements of escape, so the third of the suttas that are with that name, and this one's out of the Itivutika. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang Dhammang Sangham Namasami. So I'll share the sutta. It's a really short one. My intention had been to pull in other suttas that particularly look at, because this one only has 3 elements of escape, and so to look at the third of the elements in more detail by pulling in more suttas. And just because it's the nature of teaching a retreat and packing to go to second Vasa in Korea, that did not happen. So we may have more time for exploring it together verbally, or we can, just end early and go do our own meditations and reflections. Both are perfectly healthy and good things to do. So we'll see what emerges. Okay, let me share the screen. So we'll be looking directly at the Sutta Central. Let's see here. Arrange the screen. There we are. So we'll be looking directly at the text on Sutta Central, where we can click on the words. Please, if there are any questions as we go along, feel free to ask. It'll be a little more informal today. I have this translation, which is Bhante Sujato, and then there's also one from John Ireland. We'll look at particularly around the verses, and we'll go into the exploration now. All right. The Itivutika is a unique collection within the canon, as it was a laywoman who collected these suttas. She went to hear them. I believe her name was Kujutra, and she would listen to them and she would bring them back to the court to repeat to the ladies of the court, and many of them attained levels of awakening. So may that be so for us today too. All right. This was said by the Buddha, the perfected one. That is what I heard. Mendicants, there are these 3 elements of escape. What 3? Renunciation is the escape from sensual pleasures. So that's come up, since its importance, that's come up in the previous weeks as well. And formlessness is the escape from form. That also was in last week. And in some sense, you could take this one on sensual pleasure to be sometimes it's just shorthanded for also including ill will and harm. Sometimes there are just shortcuts and you can kind of think of it as a ... But it also, I think, just if you explore sensual pleasure and form, you will go quite a long way. And then with the last one, you can go all the way. Cessation is the escape from whatever is created, conditioned, and dependently originated. So let's see, what have we got here? These are the 3 elements of escape. So the Sankatang, that's talking about all the fabrications, the sankharas, everything that is within the khandhas. It's after you've had the sense of perception, it's then what you go on about, what you create, fabricate as your reality from what you have felt and sensed and then created. And so this sankhara and the sankatang is the constructed, the condition, the fabric, everything that's been, it says literally put together. And then what we see is that this word's probably familiar to most of you. Paticca I am so underslept. Paticca Samuppanang Nirodho. So this is the arising from a cause and the cessation. So arising and cessation. So whatever is created, conditioned, independently originated. And then that is what we are escaping from when we see cessation. And then there's a nice poem here that the Buddha spoke this matter. On this it is said, knowing the escape from sensuality and form's transcendence, one always keen touches the stilling of all activities. One always keen touches the stilling of all activities. And if you look here, the Pali is reversed. The touch part is down here. Tapi, that's the keen, always. So, but for the sense of English, Bhante Sujato has reversed the order. One always keen touches the stilling of all activities. And that's where I usually put the word conditioned, the stilling of all conditions. Activities is also a wonderful word to explore. It gives us a different nuance and a different sense of what it gives, that verb-like quality of the process that we're going and creating and continuing to go. It describes samsara. The mendicant sees rightly, and when freed in regard to that peaceful sage with perfect insight has truly slipped their yoke. This too is a matter that was spoken by the Blessed One. That is what I heard. All right. So let's see the poem, or the words and then the poem as translated by John Ireland. I'm not at home. I should have checked the library here to see if they had a copy of the Itivuduka from other translators, but I'm not at the Vihara, so I don't have the paper copies. This was said by the Lord. Bhikkhus, there are these three elements of escape. What three? The escape from sensual desires, that is renunciation. The escape from form, that is the formless. And the escape from whatever has come to be, from whatever is conditioned and dependently arisen, that is cessation. These bhikkhus are the three elements of escape. And you can see the order of the words here marches along with the Pali in more alignment with it. But often the way that we speak in English is to put the cessation part at the beginning. Cessation is the escape from. Okay, in the poem. Having known the escape from sensual desires and the overcoming of forms, one whose energy is always ardent reaches the stilling of all formations. I kind of like that. At first, ardent just seemed such an archaic word, but I kind of like it. I've been talking a lot at this retreat about, like, Aya's Suvijana is teaching a lot about the gradual path, and I'm teaching about the luminous heart, luminous mind, from the aspect of the cultivation of the Brahma Viharas in particular. And that the Brahma Viharas overlaid on, like, your breath meditation, you can just fall in love with the breath. That it's that kind of really clear, intimate relationship that you want to give it that much attention, not in a delusional way, but in a sense of real care. And so this term ardent has been growing on me is that, so if my energy is ardent, it doesn't feel, um, and I'm using ardent not in a romantic, clingy kind of way, but in a sense of really directed, but with care, with heart. And when one's energy is always ardent, one reaches the stilling of all formations. Such a one who sees rightly is thereby well released, accomplished in knowledge, at peace. That sage, the Pali's Muni, the sage, has overcome all bonds. So this is beautiful sense of working through our contact and clinging to sense desires, moving beyond form as the basis for being, and being able to then come to the complete cessation of fabrication, the peacefulness, the stilling. And maybe it's apropos that I'm using stillness flowing as the support for the stabilizing the computer today. Hopefully that's not terribly rude. It's Dhamma on top of Dhamma. That's the intention. Alrighty. So I will show you a little bit more about this. I'm going to go back to this one. This one word, because we did talk about the sensuality, renunciation, and the forms and formless last week. So the word I want to focus on is this one, Sabha Sankara Rasamata. It's a beautiful word. I spent one winter retreat where I was going through the Nibbana sermons, but I spent a great deal of time on this one and the next within the Nibbana sermons, those two words. So most of 3 months was just practiced with what does this mean to still processes, to calm activities. The breakdown of the word is very simple. Sabha is a common word. It means all or every. Actually, I have, let's see, if I move my screen, no, the share doesn't go with it, does it? I'm going to stop sharing and see if I can share my desktop so that you're seeing alternate screens. Let's see here. We'll see what this does. All right. Yes, okay. Yes, all right. So, oh, there we go. So this was part of what I did during that winter retreat was I took the Nibbana sermons, which if you haven't explored those, find the time that you really have a good deal of time and space and patience to practice with it, because it is extremely deep. Some of the language is hard, difficult to parse out, but the richness of the material is amazing. And Bhante Analayo has a series of 33 or 34, maybe. There are 33 sermons, but he has a series of lectures that go with one per sermon. And his analysis, and I've been through it many times. We'll be going through it again because it's that worthwhile. And the whole set of sermons repeats this at the top of every sermon. And the whole book is all of them, the collection's about Nibbana. Etang santang etang panitang yadidang sabasankar rasamato sabupati nisago tanhakayo virago nirodo nibbanang. This is peaceful, this is excellent, namely the stilling of all preparations. That's our word. The relinquishment of all assets, the destruction of craving, detachment, cessation, extinction. In Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, This is peaceful, this is sublime, namely the calming of all constructions, the letting go of all supports, the extinguishing of craving, dispassion, cessation, nibbana. So I'll just scroll down to, I was collecting all of the Pali, and here is our word, Sabba Sankara Samato, and it breaks down into Sabba, all, every, whole, the entire, Sankara, the essential. When you look at the Encyclopedia of Buddhism, the article on Sankara, what that word means goes on for a number of pages. It's also an excellent read. Sankara, essential condition, a thing conditioned, mental coefficients, literally preparations, get up. And then samatha, it's a word I think you're all familiar with, the calm, the quietude of heart, stilling. I don't use concentration much, but maybe unification. But here we're talking about it in the sense of placidity, the calming, we're really looking at the calm of all, calming, the verb, the calming, the quieting of all fabrications. So the next word also is lovely, which is the relinquishment of all assets. And that's basically everything that leads up to rebirth. It's forsaking, giving up the necessary things for continuing in the cycle of samsara. I will maybe share. So, and if I try to say that to my sister or somebody, they're like, yeah, what? Why does that sound like a good idea? In this thesis paper here, I don't have the author at the moment, by putting an end to the constructing of conditioned reality, we open to the door to what is ever present, but not constructed. So this is the absence, the stilling of all of the constructions leads to the not constructed, the not conditioned, the asankata dhatu, the element of the unconditioned. This is nibbana, the deathless, the stilling of volitional activities, the final liberation from all conditioned formations and thus from impermanence and death. Therefore, our verse concludes, the subsiding of formations is blissful. So I really do want that to be clear, that this is not an nihilistic bent. This is a releasing, relaxing, letting go, and a deep understanding and peace. These are just some of my highlights from when I was taking notes on the Nibbana sermons. Maybe we won't go quite into that unless there are questions or something that would come up. So I would like to end quite early with the reading of the text, because I only brought the one text with just the supplemental of how it leads to Nibbana, and see if there are any questions or comments or explorations around these renunciation towards sense desires, the formless for form, and the one that I was really highlighting now is the cessation of the sankharas, the fabrications for further becoming. So. Is this a term that people have encountered before? Do you find it as uplifting as me at this time? Or are you confused about it, which I definitely was and am not entirely free of? Just curious. And also I did say, we can just make this a very short sutta contemplation if there is nothing. So I'll just be quiet and see if anything emerges. I could also take it as a bonus time to meditate.
Yeah, I just joined in, and I wonder if you could share the sutta again or the link to it.
Oh, absolutely. Here, why don't I put it up? It's a short one, and I'll give you the word. Let me put it back up on the screen.
Thank you.
Um, oh, no, that looks like email. I don't think that's what we want. Um,
Mhm.
are you seeing the sutta now? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah,
All
yes,
right. So
capture
let
that.
me scroll down. It's so short. I'm just going to read it again. This is what the Buddha said, the perfected one, and that is what I heard. There are these three elements of escape. What three? Renunciation is the escape from sensual pleasures. Formlessness is the escape from form. Cessation is the escape from whatever is created, conditioned, and dependently originated. These are the three elements of escape. The Buddha spoke this matter. On this it is said. Here I will. Aya's just about to head to the hall to do
Bye,
the
Aya.
teaching. Yep. Aya's practicing the escape of leaving the building. And then the poem, knowing the escape from sensuality and form's transcendence, when always keen touches the stilling of all activities. That mendicant sees rightly, and when freed in regard to that, that peaceful sage with perfect insight has truly slipped their yoke. This too is a matter that was spoken by the Blessed One. That is what I heard. And I'm focusing here on this word, the stilling of all processes, the calming of all activities, the calming of all preparations, the calming of all formations. These are all ways of translating this. And I was talking about how it gets fleshed out over 33 lectures in the Nibbana sermons, and it's a wonderful, wonderful deep dive. I don't know if anyone has done a deep or even a shallow dive with this concept of letting all the fabrications still, and or if there are questions about that or comments. And also just understanding I didn't pick supplementary material this time with the intention that we'd either have discussion or we'd meditate or we'd end early just because we're in a unique setting of the retreat property.
Thank you. I saw the word at the end, Aya, around like Sankara, Samatha,
Mm-hmm.
and that really stuck with me because it speaks to, yes, how the stilling of the mental activities work is the Sankara starts to be soothed and calmed and cooled down.
It's a real balm when we
Yeah.
can stop at there is a perception and not it's I've done the Bahia Sutta a couple of times in here, and that whole concept of in the seen just the seen, in the heard just the heard, in the sense just the sensed, and even in the cognized just the cognized, just there is awareness, and letting it stop there and not start up the cycle of rumination, perseveration, creation, formation, preparation. That's why there are all of these terms that people use in the translation.
Mm. It's so nuanced, and it's so good to learn about the nuance of those words, and then to be able to, you know, detect and pinpoint them as they are arising in
Mhm.
time of practice.
And also, this is a product of the practice.
Mm.
Um, when one is like forcefully trying to stuff down
Mm.
the sankharas, that is a sankhara.
Right.
And when we start to see, no, that is an activity, that's an activity of the mind.
Mm.
And what we really need is to allow, like, I mean, those images of the silt in the water, just when you take it, you take from the still water. You don't stir up the silt.
Mm. Mm. Sadhu.
And the jhana imageries of the lake and the imagery really works because when you feel it in yourself,
Mm.
the imagery, it's like a lot of the similes you don't really get until you experience a state along those lines. And then you're like, oh yeah, it does do that. It is
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
Masterful. The Buddha was very masterful with
So,
the
yeah.
words.
Mm. To be able to describe the states in metaphors, and then for as a students being able to, oh yeah, that is what it feels like. It's so wonderful. It's so spot on.
Hmm. Yeah, I I haven't gotten through all of the states and the similes, but I've heard others speaking about them, from their meditation experience, like at the fourth jhana, and the different levels of the jhanas, even in agreeing, this is the fourth jhana and the characteristics of it, practicing with a deeper means going deeper within it. Lee Brasington had talked about that. He's like, I never got the white sheet imagery until he practiced an alternate method of the jhanas that required a lot more settling before entry. And so there was more preparation for it. And then when he did that, he's like, yes, then at that stage, at that depth of the fourth jhana, then he could see the imagery of that white cloth. So,
They're
yeah.
like signs. They're like signs that help us know when we have arrived in certain states.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. And uh, if the sign, isn't exactly a match, I'm not discounting the jhana that he had before, you know, but he was clear as like, okay, what I had before was sufficient for what I was doing to be able to call it in his system the fourth jhana. Um, and he could see by doing this other method that match. So I don't want people to, or if they read about nimittas as light, not everyone gets nimittas as light. It can be a different visual or auditory or tactile. There are many ways that our mind manifests the sign
Mm.
of unification. Yeah. The retreatants here have been asking a lot more about, though, the stilling aspect of the sankharas. They've been, a lot of there are a lot of people who are new. There are some of the people who come to the sutta on at the retreat, so that's
Mm.
that's partly why they're not here. Um, but there has been a lot of this. Is that really true? Can your mind actually get quiet? And so I told them the story of when I was in Anagarika, and one of my teachers took me to visit a bhikkhu was giving a talk in Berkeley. And so they took me saying that they thought his mind and my mind had similar proclivities. And yeah, he said during his talk to an answer to a question, I don't think much anymore. And it blew my mind. I mean, I'd never even considered that you might stop thinking. And so, with progress, suddenly it felt like, well, he seems like a trustworthy person. If he's saying it, it's probably from his experience. And so then it did give me a sense of there is that possibility. And so that's what I appreciate about these suttas and words such as this is the Buddha tells us there is this possible. He says in the suttas, I would not say it was possible if it were not possible. So how beautiful is that? And the energy here at the retreat is lovely. There is a quiet and a calm in the hall, and people are doing very well.
Mm.
Well, maybe we end a bit early, and I get the benefit of going to catch the most of Ayasuvijana's talk, and we had the benefit of having some time together and at least touching into a sutta and giving you a word. I feel like Sesame Street. The word for the week is Sabba Sankara Samatha. See if you can play with what does it feel like to approach the calming or the stilling or the pacifying of activities of the mind. And are there moments where it all stops? So I think that's a very worthwhile thing to explore. All right.
Um, I have.
Oh, yes, please.
I wanted to know the Pali word that was used for assets or supports, that was translated as assets or supports. Do you know?
Oh,
Can you figure it
oh,
out?
yeah. Are you talking about the next line, Patipatini Sago, that one? Let me just go over here. Um, yes, here. Um, Sabu Patipatini Sago. So the assets is this substratum of rebirth. So upadi. Let me see
Pali.
if I can. I think you're still seeing my screen as I change and put in
No.
the digital Poly Dictionary. Oh, it doesn't. Sorry about that. Let me stop this screen share and go back to doing the desktop thing. All right. Okay.
In the meantime, while you pull it up, I'd also love to say I feel like it's just such a beautiful, small, like succinct way of talking about the whole path. Like, you can even see the gradual path. It
Yes.
starts with the renunciation, essential pleasures, then the samadhi, and then final wisdom. So
Yes.
it's all the Shila Samadhi Panya. Like he's this master in being able to say things, and all of his teachings are in it, and in such a beautiful way yeah, that's very inspiring as well.
All right. So, and I absolutely agree. And Aya Sivajana is teaching the gradual path part of this, and she is using that same pattern. I have so
Mm.
many tabs open here. Here we are. So the underlying word sabu, which just is the way that it gets combined, it's saba, all. Upadi, and then patinisaga is the giving up, the relinquishing, the forsaking. And if I go look up upadi in the digital Poly Dictionary, it gives us more, it's the taking as mine, the appropriation, the acquisition. So during my retreat, what I was looking at was this, yeah, sense of ownership. A place, it literally means a placing near. So I'm acquiring and making mine. And as we
Mm.
relinquish and we let go of this habit, this conditioning to take up and make mine, place near me, then that is so much freedom. I translated it during my retreat as the giving up of all supports, and it was really a play on words at that time for me because I was kind of between monasteries, and I was really playing with that idea of support. And here we're talking about the support of us taking something and making something out of it. So the first one's about the activities, and this one is about the ownership and really pulling that apart. And then the next one is about the craving and needing to let that go. So the sequence of exploration, I highly recommend for anyone who has the chance for a 3-month retreat to take this set of verses and just spend it on them the whole time.
Is the Supadi a part of the dependent origination links? Is it the attachment? Is it the same?
It's yes, it's about that same concept of
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of somatic stuff at the retreat, so that's where my
Yeah,
practice
we get
is
to
right now.
feel it. Sometimes it's more powerful, yeah.
And this is one that particularly in meditation, or if you're just getting up, or if you have the chance to watch a dream be fabricated. Say you've been meditating before and then you fall asleep, and you've got enough awareness. It's amazing to really have that quality that you can watch real time fabrications come online. Uh,
Mm.
and then you start just say, why am I putting my trust in that?
Mm.
Yeah. And
Right.
thanks for asking. Yeah. And I hope I'm expressing it really as a joyful discovery, not a a vibhava tanha, um, you know, just wanting out of existence. The tonality of how we approach it really does matter.
Mm.
There is disgust. I mean, there really is disgust, and it is appropriate. But the attitude around it matters. That's what I'm coming to learn.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. It's very important. Yeah.
Anything else before we wrap up today?
Thank you, Aya, for being here while you're on retreat,
Yeah,
teaching as well. Thank you.
yeah. You're nearby if you get a chance to practice at Cloud Mountain. It's a really supportive little forest here.
Yeah, yes, I've been there a number of times. Yeah. I would have loved to be on retreat with you both, but it conflicts because I'm doing a day long tomorrow. Or no, the Saturday. Sorry, the Saturday. I'm teaching a day
Yeah,
long.
yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, Aya Suvijana will be back with a new sutta next week. Probably she often will start a new series. And I will be in Korea, hopefully getting some medical treatment and just getting a chance to recover and rest and see what emerges.
Mm. Hope you have a safe trip and a
Yeah.
safe. Mhm.
So I'll watch the recordings at a later time because it will be something like midnight in Korea.
We'll be missing you.
All right, take care, everyone. Have a beautiful day or evening.
Thank you, Aya.
Goodbye, everyone.